Hey friends, Lorenda here. Welcome back to my craft room. So tonight's project, we are going to make this t-shirt for Thyroid Awareness Month, and we are going to layer 2 types of glitter vinyl. So if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it, and I appreciate all the support while I'm growing this channel. So this t-shirt is done with 2 types of glitter vinyl. So this really gorgeous teal blue is a Cricut glitter vinyl, and it's in a teal blue. It is absolutely beautiful. The color looks like diamonds. I love it so much. And then this pink is also really pretty color. It's the first time I used it. It's the Scissor heat transfer vinyl. I've bought several colors in it, and I just hadn't had an opportunity to use it until now, and it turned out really nice. So listen, if you want to see how I did this, video is to follow. And just know the first part of the video, I am talking about why the Thyroid Awareness Month is important to me and my thyroid cancer and Hashimoto. So if you have no interest in that, please just fast forward right on past it to the making of the t-shirt. All right, listen, I hope you have a blessed and beautiful rest of your evening. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll get started. Bye. Hey friends, Lorenda here. Welcome back. So tonight we're going to use our Cricut to make a t-shirt for Thyroid Awareness Month. We are going to do heat transfer vinyl, and we're going to layer on 2 colors. So January is Thyroid Awareness Month. For me, that's something that is important because I had thyroid cancer. So I am today 3 years cancer free. It's weird. So, for any of you that are going through that, have suffered through that, have hypothyroidism, Graves' disease, any of those things that affect your thyroid, you know how absolutely devastating it can be to your life. And sometimes you don't even know what's going on. So apparently, it turns out I've probably had thyroid disease for a very long time. And once it was diagnosed, I could look back and realize and kind of have an idea of when it sort of started. But I think pretty much most of my life, because I actually have Hashimoto's and Graves' disease. So I think early on the Graves' disease was what was kicked in, because Graves' disease makes you hyperthyroid and super skinny and super hyper, and you have all this energy. And that's how I was when I was actually younger. And then I think that just sort of ran its course, and then the Hashimoto's turn came into play, which causes hypothyroidism, where you're tired and you gain weight and you don't have much energy. For me, I thought that it was really because of work. I run emergency departments, and at the time I was the operations person for the emergency department, and I was so busy. I, worked 10 to 14 hours a day. And on top of it, I was in the process of finishing my master's degree. So I really thought that it was associated to work and being so busy. However, I was getting really sick. So hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, is an autoimmune disease. It is one of the, things that really causes the most hypothyroid disease there is. So it can cause some of the symptoms, like my hair was falling out. My skin was so dry. Like your skin gets very dry. Like sometimes it would just flake off in pieces, but it would get dry to the point that it hurt. really bad joint pain. I put on weight probably about 40 pounds, altogether. And which fortunately I have finally gotten rid of. That was a lot of work. But, it causes you to, like, sometimes I find myself, I have to stop and think for a second. And, it kind of causes you to get like sort of goofy brained. Sometimes you forget things. And, for me, I was at a point, it had gone on for so long without me realizing it, that I was extremely sick. And I think I was just tolerating it because it had gone on for so long. So I actually had to have my thyroid removed. So when I found out, I thought I was having a stroke because of everything that was going on. And, being an ER nurse, I ended up finally I was seen in my emergency department by one of my emergency physicians. And when they were doing everything, they checked my thyroid levels. And so your TSH is your thyroid stimulating hormone. So for a normal person, if your thyroid stimulating hormone is normal, depending on what lab they use, it can run a little bit differently, but it's generally about 0.4 to 4.0 is normal. So your thyroid stimulating hormone means it's how much it takes to stimulate your thyroid to work, right? So if your thyroid stimulating hormone is high, then you're hypothyroid, because that means it takes a whole lot in order to stimulate your thyroid. If your TSH is low, then you are hyperthyroid, because it doesn't take much at all to stimulate your thyroid. So, like I said, the normal was 0.4 to 4.0. Mine was 186. And I basically had the metabolism of a slug. So I would come home and just absolutely fall asleep. It was terrible. I had zero energy whatsoever. I don't know how I got through doing the things that I did, to be honest with you. But, it gave me a lot of, like, my joints hurt. All of my joints hurt all the time. Turns out that's the Hashimoto. So I went to see the endocrinologist, and they did all of, my other lab work. And it turns out that my Hashimoto's antibodies were extremely high, as well as my Graves' disease. So I had both of them. And they spent some time, trying to get my TSH down. And I had to have an ultrasound. So the ultrasound did show that I had a small hard nodule that was highly indicative of being cancerous. They didn't do a biopsy on it because they couldn't get my TSH down below 65, which was still crazy high and causing me to still have a lot of symptoms. So my thyroid, so most people, when you have a thyroid problem, your thyroid, it enlarges and you get like a goiter. So my thyroid actually had atrophy, which means it shrunk. So my thyroid actually shrunk. It was super small. And they didn't do a biopsy because, basically they said it wasn't worth going through the process of doing it, because no matter what, my thyroid was going to have to come out given the circumstances. So I had my thyroid taken out, and which, it's a very scary thing to have your neck cut open and know that that's going to be taken out. You're intubated, which means that they put a tube down and they have to breathe for you. And, it's very scary being on the other side of the fence and, having to put yourself in somebody else's hands. And I tell you, what I do for a living has always been extremely important to me. and I don't take it lightly. I love what I do. I'm very proud to be a nurse, and taking care of people is my absolute passion. It makes me, it just really fills my heart. And, I love taking care of people. However, I will tell you, when you're on the other side of the fence, it gives you even more to think about. So, now I kind of think more about things that could be really scary for people that maybe they're afraid to say, because I didn't tell anybody how nervous I was, how scared I was, because I didn't want people to worry about me. To be honest, I have colleagues that to this day don't know that I had thyroid cancer, because, I'm the caregiver. So, I didn't want other people to worry about me. But, anyways, so, I had my thyroid out, and, it took some time to, get everything back to normal, but know that it does get there. And it's been 3 years now, so I feel really good. I feel better than I have in probably 15 years. I had no clue how sick I was. And I think because it comes on so slow, that until you get really, really sick, it's easy to not realize it. And, now I look back and I can remember there are times in my life where I thought, God, I feel so blah. Does everybody feel this way? Is this the way I'm going to feel forever? And, now I realize that, it was because of the disease process. So when they took my thyroid out, the doctor said that it was very shrunk. He said it was the size of an infant's thyroid, and the body's an amazing thing. So my body actually formed a film between my thyroid and my body to help protect me from it. So it's amazing. Our body is an amazing thing. So for me, Thyroid Awareness Month is certainly very important, and I urge everybody to check your neck. You should have your routine monitoring done, and in that part of it should be your thyroid level. You don't want to be very sick before you find out, and it's actually very common. So especially with, today's diets and stuff like that. So, and, if you have dealt with this or you're dealing with Hashimoto's, I feel for you. I know that it's a hard disease to deal with, because it's one of those disease processes that it really wreaks havoc on your body, but people can't really see it. So they don't realize how horrible you actually feel. So, God bless you if you're dealing with it. I will tell you though, having my thyroid out actually made all the difference in the world. So yes, I had thyroid cancer, but the cancer nodule was really not the basis of my being sick. The cancer nodule really came from my thyroid working so poorly and being so toxic for such a long time. It just caused the cancer. So once that came out, there was no more cancer. I was very blessed. I didn't have to get radiation, which was my biggest fear. I didn't want to be radioactive. So I didn't have to do that, thankfully. And afterwards, like my parathyroid, all of that was fine. So your parathyroid regulates your calcium. And sometimes when people have their thyroid out, because the thyroid can get wrapped around, different things as it grows, especially when it grows bigger and gives you a goiter, that, sometimes it can interfere with your parathyroids, or where it is during surgery can cause some problems with your parathyroids. It's very interesting. So today, like sometimes they'll put them in people's forearms, and yeah, it's very crazy. But I was very lucky. I had no problems with any of that, and you know, it was good. But it definitely helped. Having it out made all the difference in the world. Like I said, I feel like a new person. Today I can realize how sick I was before. So, you know, and then as far as losing the weight that I put on because of it, that was hard because, you know, you get on your thyroid medicine and get regulated, but it doesn't automatically take off the weight because you're not naturally regulated anymore. But it does help keep you from putting more on, just based on your thyroid. But for me, the thing that really honestly worked, I worked really solidly with my doctor on getting rid of it and getting medicine correct, and then actually decreasing my sugar. So I didn't necessarily really go like keto, because I know there are people that do like no carbohydrates whatsoever. I wanted something that would work, but, you know, I could live with and, you know, keep doing for a long time. And so I actually went down to like 75 to 100 carbohydrates a day. Because I don't have a thyroid, I do need some carbohydrate. And I can tell a difference if I'm like on a binge and start eating tons of carbohydrates, I like feel terrible. And I have to be really careful because of not having a thyroid. My body really likes that sugar, that quick energy. So if I start eating them, I'm like, it's really hard for me to stop. So I have to be careful. With the holidays, I've not been good. I got to go back. But I like to stay about 75, no more than 100 carbs a day. But 75 is good. It allows me to, you know, keep my weight well without, you know, feeling deprived. So anyways, listen, enough of all of that. So I am going to switch things around and we will make our shirt. All right. All right. So what we have is our t-shirt. Now this is an adult medium, women's adult medium. So I'm going to make the design about 10 inches in height, and it'll go about 3 inches under the collar. Okay, so I have my image pulled up that I'm going to make. I'm going to be using, isn't this pretty? So this is a Cricut glitter heat transfer, very pretty. And then this one, so I've never used this before, I don't believe. Let's see, let me open this. No, I haven't used it. I think I opened it to look at it, and this is Scissor. Look how pretty that is. So now remember, when you're doing your heat transfer, it's going to be your shiny side is going to go down, okay? And when you are making your design, don't forget that you have to mirror your image. I ruined more transfer material because of that. So I've got my heat transfer, I've got my mat, I've got my shirt, my scissors, and then of course I will use a weeding tool. And then I have my heat press, which will be warming up, and we'll go to that in just a minute. So I am going to print everything on fast mode, okay? All right, so now we have our decals printed. So now we're going to put them on our shirt. All right, so I have my mat here. I have my heat press, a little mini. I tell you, I'm a real fan of that little heat press mini. I love that thing. I bought it to do shoes, which I still haven't done. One of these days I will. But I've actually used it for so much more than I really thought that I would. So, definitely been very happy with it. All right, so I've got my shirt here. Now they make lots of different t-shirt guides and, you know, different things like that. You know, for me, I feel pretty good about being able to center my shirts on. Find my edges. And so I generally just use like a ruler. My center and then down 3. So start about there. I usually, here it is. Usually I like to use chalk. And I'll generally just use my chalk because it wipes off pretty easy. All right, and then I'll take my decal. Now, when you're folding it in half, make sure you're not going to, you're not folding it to your sticky sides together, because then you end up in a problem. All right, so I'll just warm up my shirt here a bit. I'm gonna move that so I can pull this guy a little bit so you can see. Just kind of warm up my shirt. Well, I guess I can't do that because I needed to set my heat press in. All right, so now normally I would go pressure for 30 seconds, but because I'm going to be overlaying, I only want to go 15 and then 15, okay? So let's see. I'm gonna put my about there, so let me pull my pad down. And my pad's completely under my shirt. All right. So I'm going to do 15. And now remember, this is just straight pressure. I have a bad habit of wanting to iron and it's not an iron. Remember that. All right, so now on this side over here, now this piece over here, I'm going to go ahead and do 30 because it won't get ironed on again. This up. I love this color. And of course the teal is the thyroid awareness color. The thyroid cancer color. And then we're going to put this like this. So now this I'll have to, you know, go back over. I guess I will go back over that. Okay. All right. Well, it's fine. Okay. So now I'm gonna see if I can't just do these parts here so I can make sure they're on well. And then this guy, do this part here. I tell you, it doesn't matter how much space I have, it's never enough room. You know, back when I used to do my crafting at our other home, and you know, I thought I just had a craft space, not really a craft room. I thought, oh, it would be so great when I get a craft room. I still don't have enough room. All right. And here we go. So when you are doing multiple layers of your heat transfer, you just don't want to do it for as long for each time because you don't want to burn your vinyl. All right. Hey, listen, if you guys like this, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks. Have a great and blessed rest of the night. Bye.